It was late October, and the chill of autumn had begun to settle over the small, quiet town of Black Hollow. A dense fog rolled in every evening, wrapping the trees in a thick blanket of mist, making the surrounding forest seem more ominous than usual. Locals always avoided the woods after dark, not just because of the cold, but because of the whispers. The whispers had been part of local legend for generations. Stories about them had been passed down from grandparents to children, tales of people who ventured into the woods at night and never came back. Some said the forest was cursed, others claimed it was haunted by the spirits of those who had gone missing over the years. But Lisa didn't believe in any of it. A recent transplant to Black Hollow, she thought it was just folklore, something made up to keep children from wandering off too far. So when her friends dared her to go into the woods one evening, she didn't hesitate. After all, how scary could it really be? As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lisa made her way to the edge of the forest. The air grew colder with each step she took, and the fog seemed to thicken around her, muffling the sounds of the world outside. She paused at the tree line, listening to the silence. Then she heard it, a soft, barely audible whisper. It was faint at first, like a breath of wind through the trees. She shook her head, convinced it was her imagination, and pushed deeper into the woods. But the farther she went, the louder the whispers became. They were indistinct at first, a jumble of voices speaking all at once, but as she walked, they began to form words. Turn back. Leave. Don't stay. Lisa's heart began to race. She looked around, but the fog was so thick she could barely see more than a few feet ahead. She called out, hoping to hear her friends laughing, but there was no response. Only the whispers, growing louder. Come closer, closer. A cold breeze brushed past her, making the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. Panic surged through her, and she spun around, trying to retrace her steps. But the fog had swallowed the path, and now she wasn't sure which way led out. The whispers turned to laughter, a low, mocking sound that echoed in the mist. Stay with us, forever. Her heart pounded in her chest as she began to run, branches snagging at her clothes, the fog clinging to her like icy fingers. She didn't know where she was going, but she had to get out. The whispers followed her, growing louder and more insistent. Suddenly she tripped over something and fell to the ground. Pain shot through her ankle, but when she looked back, her blood ran cold. There, tangled in the roots of an old gnarled tree, was a skeletal hand. It was gripping her ankle, the bony fingers wrapped tightly around her skin. The whispers turned to screams. Lisa yanked her leg free and scrambled to her feet, adrenaline pushing her forward. She could see a faint light through the fog now, a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, she could escape. She pushed herself harder, her breath coming in ragged gasps. But just as she reached the edge of the forest, the light flickered out and the whispers stopped. Everything went silent. The next morning, the townspeople found Lisa's abandoned car at the edge of the woods. They searched for her, but no one ever found a trace. Black Hollow was used to such disappearances. And on quiet nights when the fog rolled in and the trees swayed in the wind, the townspeople claimed they could hear whispers, new voices calling out from the depths of the woods, Lisa's voice among them, forever lost.